All right, welcome back, everybody. Tim Buckley joins me from WFMY. We're going to start with a little bit of breaking news, Tim. We had a pretty big earthquake down in Venezuela. This is an active seismic zone, but this is pretty strong for northern, central, and southern America. You don't normally see quakes this big in Venezuela, and this happened just minutes ago.
Yeah, Brad, it did. It just happened within the last half an hour, and so we're still kind of gathering information, putting this into context for everybody. Not my research here, but what I'm seeing on Twitter, it appears that this ranks to be the 6th strongest to ever strike the country of Venezuela, so that's pretty significant. It's a 7.1, at least initially, and just to kind of put folks reference here geography-wise, if we zoom way out just to kind of show you where we are in the world, here we are in the Carolinas, Venezuela. It's on the bottom of the Caribbean Sea, so a lot of people go cruising in this area. It's right off by Aruba, so if you ever have friends or family that have gone to there, or if you've been able to go there or something like that, that's the nearest country. So you have the ABC Islands right here, Aruba, I forget the other one, Curacao.
Yeah.
And then there you have it. That's where the earthquake was. And it looks like, Brad, they always are kind of reassessing these. I wonder if they've gone with another intensity just yet. It looks like they're both the same on my map.
Yeah.
So 7.1 is no joke. And the infrastructure plays a role here. It's 8 miles deep, which, that's close enough to the surface to cause problems. And just doing a quick scroll through Twitter, some reports of maybe some buildings collapsing, or at least one. So this is a big deal, and we'll start to see more about this, I'd imagine, in the next couple of hours.
Yeah, that would be significant shaking in that area. I'm looking at the pager output from USGS, and significant area affected, the significant population exposure. So this has all the indications of significant impacts. And just to give people a kind of perspective, so this is our local seismograph. This is in Blacksburg, South Carolina, right on the border. And just to show you, that's what the quake looked like locally. These seismic waves, which I think people don't realize, we may not feel them here locally, Tim, but they do travel through the entire crust. They travel through the mantle. So they are registered on local seismographs. And that's why, as Tim just alluded to, when they reevaluate, as more seismographs get the data, they can triangulate and get better information. It just becomes more accurate as the waves hit more sensors around the globe, and they can actually refine this. So if you see the shift in the location or even an update in the magnitude, it's because more seismographs have detected the waves and they get a better measurement. But that's pretty significant. And as you mentioned, Tim, correctly, the infrastructure down there is not great. They don't have really significant building codes for earthquakes in northern Venezuela. It's a very poor region. And so I would expect that there's probably a lot of destruction there, and it's something we're going to have to keep a close eye on.
And I can add from the producer desk, too, it looks like Puerto Rico has a tsunami advisory.
Which is interesting because it looks like it was onshore.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it says...
And that was something I wondered about when we first heard.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, so James is going to give us more on that, but just to pull up the map, Puerto Rico's due north, basically. So that energy could travel a bit across the Caribbean, or they might just be being cautious considering the strength and the depth of that thing. But, that wave energy would kind of spread out in all directions if it was close enough to the coastline. So interested to learn any more about that.
What I can share from what I'm reading from the National Weather Service there is that if there was a tsunami wave, it would arrive at 7:19 p.m. Atlantic Standard Time. So isn't that a time zone earlier than Eastern?
Correct, yeah.
So it would already have been there?
Yep.
Okay.
So it would have traveled pretty quick, which makes sense. Yeah, I'm looking at that advisory too.
You're right.
So yeah, this is a U.S. advisory, so the U.S. Virgin Islands are considered in that as well, and so that's why Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So we'll find out quickly. It is an advisory, which is kind of the middle of the road here.
Oh, just real quick. There's a daylight time discrepancy, so it's Atlantic Standard Time, which means this time of year they're the same as us. So right now it is 6:44 in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
So they've got about 40 minutes yet to go before it would clear.
Yeah, and I can actually put on the screen. There's actually included in this bulletin, kind of a better timestamp indication of how much of a tsunami wave they're anticipating, and it's pretty low. Like Brad, you're starting to say, it's an advisory, right? So it will be existent, but kind of on the lower side. So below 1 foot
Yeah.
is the forecast height, arriving as early as 7:19 p.m. and lasting for maybe upwards of 6 hours. So elevated coastal sea of about a foot.
Yeah, so probably the big thing is sometimes when you see these smaller tsunami advisories like this, the waves aren't really big, but you get a lot of bad currents and rip currents and stuff because there's a lot of water movement in that area. So
Yeah.
yeah, we'll keep an eye on that, Tim. That is a pretty big quake for that part of the world. And anytime you see quakes down there, very highly densely populated area too, which means a lot of people were impacted by that. So we'll keep an eye on that. James will keep an eye on that if we
Yeah.
get any updates on that.